Hello and welcome to the J Train podcast. Do you have it? Do you have it? Oh, you got it. You got it. The J Train podcast in your inbox every Monday and Thursdays with your emails, your stories, your questions. I say it every episode. Let me say it again. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling a friend. Do you have it? I want to know. I want to know. We're going to ask a few times. Do you have the podcast? Yes. Do you have your ha's? Yes. Do you have the Instagram story locked and loaded to let your people know? Keep sharing. Keep telling a friend. Do you have it? Do you got the guts to make the J Train podcast a part of your life, a part of your friend's life, a part of your mama's life, your parents' life, your papa, anyone with you? I want you to climb that aggro crag of life. Take it to the top. Hit that button and win that race. Let Maura Court, head referee, award you with a piece of the crag. That's right. The only way to win a piece of the crag, share the episode. Let people know. Let people know you have it. J-Train podcast every Monday and Thursday. We got Shelby on the ones and twos. We have a capacity virtual audience. Shelby, how are you? What an opening. What's going on?
Nothing much. I feel like I have it. Hope I get close to the crag.
Yeah, listen, man. That was I loved the show Guts. I was always a huge fan. I liked when they went global, and as a Jew, you're just cheering for Team Israel. How Israel got involved in that group, you'll never know. It felt a little. I was like, wow, Israel's here. Good, we did it. You know, we've made it. But Shelby, do you remember Global Guts?
I was always like, how do these kids get chosen? These must be like the athletic, like the
gods
the top,
of
of their middle school or whatever.
And you're like, yeah, how did they get here? How did they get chosen? I always like, they did look in shape. Like you never saw like an overweight kid struggling up the crag. Like that never, I don't have that vision in my head, right?
Like I was like, I would love to try to climb the crag. I would never be able to do it that fast. I would crack under the pressure to begin with.
The fact that there's not a Guts Cafe or some sort of, I guess you could say that those like Spartan runs, you know what I'm talking about? That's like, I guess, adult guts. Like if you were to like make the meme that like charcuterie is just adult Lunchables, Spartan race is just adult global guts, except you drink a beer at the end.
I would pause this episode and do that meme right now.
Yeah, you know, write it up right now. You're right. I could be missing out on 1,000 followers, bot followers. It could be, you know, but the one thing I'll say about Guts, Mike O'Malley, like what a job for him, but also I love that he would go to Mo. Like I love that he, like Maura Court was the one British person that I had in my life. I didn't know any other British people except for Maura Court. What is her career path to go from, like, what do you start as to become head referee for Guts?
I'm looking at a YouTube video right now that says, what really happened to Mo from Guts? I don't even want to click. I don't even want to know.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know about her OnlyFans account now. Yeah, okay. Listen, enough about nostalgia. The one thing about Mo, I like that they went for the weather report. They'd be like, Mo, let's go to the aggro crag. What's going on over there, Mo? And she'd be like, I'm up on top of the aggro crag and it's windy up here. It's like you're inside. Like what acting improv class did you take that you were like, live in the world of Guts. You got to do it.
We don't need another for Netflix. We don't need another like post-apocalyptic show where there's teens. Just give us Guts back.
Yeah, I agree. I would like that. That's kind of what this podcast is. This is the Guts of podcasts. Put your brain on the shelf. Let Papa JT and Shelby take the wheel, get you away from your anxieties for an hour. And here's another thing you can do. Right now, go on YouTube. The special is out, socially distanced, of course. It is 35 minutes of, if you're on YouTube, hello. If you're not, just go. Make it out. You can airplay it to your TV. This is kind of what's going on. So socially distanced, of course, 35-minute special. Make it a night. Get the popcorn out and enjoy. It was taped on New Year's Eve. And it's all jokes about 2020. That's it. And if you come to a live show, I'm done with the material. I'm not doing it anymore. It's only on YouTube. YouTube.com/Jared Freid. So Shelby's here. I'm here. I'm very excited. Today's guest, new to the podcast. Hit that button, Shelby.
It's the moment you've all been waiting for. A new guest.
He is new to the J Train podcast, hilarious comic. He has his own YouTube special that is out right now. You can make it a double feature. It's called 6 Parts. It's free on YouTube. Danny Jollis, thank you for coming on.
Oh my gosh, what an intro. What a time to start. There's no other place to put a special right now than YouTube.
There's other places, but like you could put it, you could be touched by the hand of God, and someone at Netflix is like, we shall give you all the money.
Sure.
And like, I have to admit it, and I want everyone, Danny's hilarious. All of you are going to love him at Danny Jollis. His special 6 Parts is on YouTube right now. I think we can both talk honestly. There's a little bit of like, I don't know how to tell people that I have a special on YouTube. Like, I think it's because there's a piece of you, there's that little voice in your head, and I'm sure you have this because you're a funny, aware person, that you're like, yeah, my video is next to a cat video, like that was uploaded by an aunt, and you're calling it a special. I feel a little bit like a liar because I'm like, but it's produced well. Like, I'm sure yours is made to be on the TV. Yeah, the cat is playing in the background.
Yeah. We and that is lovely. We did. Yeah, no, we produced it ourselves. We like made it pre-COVID, and then we almost sold it a bunch of times. And then I finally, but my thing was, so there is this thing where, because it's like, yes, the hand of God, Netflix, obviously we all would take the deal.
Yeah.
But then there were these other places that did want it. I won't name names, where I was like, I think it goes there and nobody watches it.
Yeah, that's the other end of the seesaw, right?
So I ended up.
Yeah, an HBO special might just pass like
Yeah.
a ship passing in the night. You might never know what's going on.
Yeah, you get to put those things next to your name, but that's about all you get out of it. And so I ended up basically negotiating against myself with this special, where I basically went to companies and I was like, I want it on YouTube. I don't want you to sell it. And it was not deemed an intelligent choice by me.
Okay.
Everybody
by the people who make money with you.
People who make money with me were like, what are we doing? Like,
Sure.
why would we do this? And I just fought really hard, and I was like, I just believe in it. And so now it's on YouTube, but it does feel weird. I mean, it does feel, yes, of course. It's like, and everybody's like, oh, so you couldn't sell it. It's like, yeah, kind of, but also.
Yeah, that's right. There's a longer story that, like, the longer you tell it, the more guilty you feel, look, like I have that. It's the hard reality of like, and it's the hurtful reality. We become numb to this from day one of starting to do comedy. Day one, you're like, I'm a comedian. And then someone's like, tell me a joke. And you're like, okay. And then you do it. And then you do actually tell someone a joke. And then you bomb for one person. And you're like, I am never doing that again. That person's an asshole. And then you get this callous over you for these experiences because there's so many excruciating, awkward. Oh, it's on YouTube? What YouTube? What? So you just put a special? Can anyone put a special on YouTube? You're like, yeah, I've done this conversation before.
Yeah. Did you just film it with like you just had like a good show and you were filming? It's like mine's in 6 different locations. We did it in like a gym, a surf shop, like all these different. It's like took a lot of effort. It was a really hard production.
This is I hear you because I feel what you're going through. I know it because mine is coming out tonight as we tape this, but it will already be out. and I taped it on New Year's Eve. It's 5-camera shoot, production company,
Let's
whole
go.
deal. Money was invested. Entrepreneurship was partaken. So you call it 6 parts because it's going to come out in 6 parts, and it's from 6 different This is again, to the people listening, I understand this is Inside Baseball. This isn't a comedy podcast. We're going to get to the emails in a second. Like, we don't sit here and talk about how you started in comedy. That's not what we do here. But I want to make sure people know how they can support you, and not just fake support. They're supporting you by supporting themselves. They're getting a free night of laughs by going to Danny Jala's YouTube page, going to 6 parts, watching the special, enjoying the special, getting the laugh. But we want people to know, like, this is a real thing that you're putting out. So it's called 6 parts. Give us the 6 parts. What is it? Where from? Why did you do it this way?
So, it's like we headline, but the truth is most of the time we do about 10-minute sets. That's our actual standard set. And so when I was putting together the hour, I was like, my hour is flows, but it doesn't, my 10-minute chunks are so one thought. They're like a diamond that has been rubbed out a little bit. Like from the coal, there is a diamond, and it's a 10-minute diamond. Perfect. And then when I do the full hour, it's like we kind of chuck them together and they make a beautiful hour. And so for this, we wanted to do, I was like, I can do 6 10-minute chunks that can feel like their own beautiful little mini specials. And then I did it with Don't Tell Comedy. I don't know if you've done any of their shows.
I've done their shows. Don't Tell Comedy, and people should know this. They exist in your city. They exist in a lot of cities pre-pandemic, but they're probably around still now. They have maybe the best email list I've ever come encounter with. I don't know how they got this email list, but basically the day of the show, they will announce a location, and then 40 good-looking, cool people will show up who get it. It's
the
never
most attractive. It's the most attractive email list I've ever seen.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And in every city, I've done it in every city. In every city, I'm like, somehow the hottest people in Chicago are here. It's no matter where you go.
And they have Don't Tell Chicago, Don't Tell Austin, Don't Tell New York, L.A. And I've done them in like L.A., New York. I've done, I think, another one, but like they're very nice people. I don't know who's even in charge. It's just the person in charge in New York.
Kyle and Alex, but every city has their own person that runs it, and it's just a brilliant operation. Yeah. And so we just, their thing, and they always do it in a different weird place. I loved their thing. So I was like, can we do it in 6 different Don't Tell places? That's
a great idea. And it's such an inside baseball. Like, I do say this, and like, I think the audience that listens to this podcast is a lot like me, where we're cool, but we don't do cool things. Like whenever I'm doing a cool thing, I'm the nerd that's like, look at how cool we are for doing this. Like, I think that's this audience, and Don't Tell has that type of experience at their shows where you're like, hey, we're in a loft right now watching comedy. There's that element to it.
It is. It's the coolest show it's my favorite show to invite people to. It's my favorite. It's like, it was always my favorite shows were the Don't Tells. And I just became like such a loyal, like, I'll do any of your shows. And, I've done some weird ones, but I also was like, you become so used to that idea of like, man, any place can be a great show. And so we just did 6 shows, and we were like, maybe all 6 work, maybe they don't. We'll find out. And it did. And it was so magical. And they all feel a little different. Like the art gallery, we have an art gallery one, and there were only probably like 25 people there.
Yeah, but those crowds, I think like it's a best case scenario, because those crowds, there's not a lot of explaining to do. There's not one old guy in the front that's like, the Snapchat book, what?
Yeah.
What you talk about? There's never that. And then also the element of cool, where I always said this about New Year's Eve. The best show to do on New Year's Eve is a free show, because everyone in the audience is like, oh, thank goodness we didn't pay a lot of money to do something that might be bad. The hardest show on New Year's Eve is the paid one, because people are like, this night has to be good. And I know the amount of money that it has to beat in my head, because I've paid a little bit more, a little bit extra.
I mean, is there any more pressure than opening for like a massively famous person when everybody there paid just in unbelievable amounts of money, and you have to go up first, and then you can just feel them being like, did we pay for this? And
Yeah,
I'm really working hard up here. It's opening for a very famous.
Yeah. Who's the most famous person you've ever opened?
That's an incredible effort.
I'm gonna allow you to name drop. Is there someone that, or what's the most ridiculous?
I'll tell you what. So I'll tell you the most ridiculous, because I've done basically all everyone who was once on SNL. I think I've opened for at this point.
Okay, yeah, you've done the Chris Kattans, you've done the Daryl Hammonds,
the Daryl Hammonds. I've done the John Lovitz, which is an interesting one.
Tell me you. That's right. And coming up first, Danny Jollis.
I wanted it so bad, but you're not allowed to ask. You're not allowed to ask any of the questions you want to ask those people. You have
Why
to pretend
not?
like you're their, because you have to pretend like you're their peers somehow, even though it's a joke.
Sure.
I'll tell you the craziest one. I opened for Dennis Miller.
Oh wow!
At a casino, and
Yeah,
that
of
was
course.
a wild time, because that was when I really was set up. I was like, this is going to be bad.
So if anyone doesn't know, Dennis Miller is a conservative comic at this point. Like
extremely conservative.
Yeah,
like leaned in.
And he does conservative radio. So you're dealing with I think that's hard no matter what. Conservative, liberal. If someone's known for a group, you now have to come in. You're like, so dating, and it's like, what's this guy getting at? I
was like, okay, I'm gonna have to be so generic. I mean, I can't even like a lot of my jokes get more political or social as we get to the end. And I was like, don't even get near it. I'll just cut. I just started cutting every joke. But then I'll say, in defense, Dennis Miller may be the nicest person I've ever opened.
I've heard he's a really nice guy.
And it was it was so wild being like,
well, I will say
make the
this.
Story.
It doesn't matter. I'll tell a short story before we get to the emails, jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. But it doesn't matter what the background of the audience is, but if they are socially inclined, if it's conservative or liberal, they want to know where you're coming from. A big part of every joke is, so what's that mean about me? They're already on defense. So if you do a joke about I don't know, if you say Mr. Potato Head, because now they're making Mr. Potato gender neutral, they get as quiet. They're like, where does he stand? Where does he stand?
And the brutal thing is, you do a joke, they start there. They're like, wait, where's this going?
Yeah.
And then you slowly get their confidence, and then you finish it, and then you're like, also, I had toaster, and you go right back to step one, and you're like, have we learned nothing?
You can't be more right. You can't be more. I mean, I open for Michelle Wolf all the time, and after the White House Correspondents' Dinner, she had a very liberal-leaning audience, and we were in San Francisco, which is the most liberal-leaning city, and she had all these sold-out shows, and I remember I would start out by talking about, how I want to lose weight, and you could tell, the whole audience okay,
Safe.
but do you agree with us? And I would get every show, I would get to the part where I would say that I was Jewish, and you could feel the collective air. And it's dumb. It's so dumb. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Finally, he said it. But when I announced...
He's okay. He's all right.
But it was so palpable that you could feel the room kind of lose that arms cross thing. And I would go, and I'm Jewish. And then you could feel the air, phew. And I would always go, you guys are fucking losers. I was like, did my people struggle enough for me to tell my funnies tonight? Is that okay with you? And it's just a funny thing. You see it from all crowds that think that everyone's on the same page in that room.
And it's wild how predictable it is.
It's
wild how city after city, the thing, you're like, it's like these lines that it's almost hard to describe. It's like crowd work that's now scripted, because you're like, I just know what's going to happen here.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're going to do.
That's when you become a professional. So I want everyone to go check out Danny. He's so funny. At Danny Jollis on Instagram, Twitter, but most importantly, it's called 6 Parts. It's on YouTube. We have, as an audience, we've done the drill. You've heard me begging for weeks for you to go watch mine. Now you know how to do it. So, and if you did before, good for you. But if you know how to now, make it a night, get the popcorn.
Please.
Go.
It's in 6 parts. Just try a part. See how you feel about a part, and then keep going from there.
He's made it too easy on you. Let's do some emails. You ready? jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Here with Danny Jollis. Dating a younger dude. Feather, motherfucking feather. Quarantine king. You've kept me sane through this craziness. Now I need your advice. Started seeing this guy about a month ago. He's 25, I'm 31. We both have careers and are considered quote-unquote essential workers. We live about a half hour from each other. We met up for a hike on our first date, then pawn hockey for our second date, which happened to be Valentine's Day. We had so much fun playing hockey. I invited him back to my house for drinks. For context, I live alone in a townhouse. We ended up getting blackout drunk together, and he passed out on my couch. We laughed about it in the morning, and he asked if he could take me to dinner that week. We went to dinner that week, and he ended up staying overnight at my place. We didn't have sex, and I found him to be really respectful. Despite him being a bit younger than I am, he seems great, and I had 0 red flags up to this point. I had a doctor's appointment in his city, because they're a half hour apart. So he invited me over after, said he'd order us lunch and we could watch a movie. I knew he had 2 roommates, but was not expecting what I came into. He lives on the top floor of a triplex. Oh, okay. So I've seen a triplex before. Boston
what is a
has
triplex?
It's basically like a 3-floor apartment building. Like I would say you have the bottom floor, middle floor, top floor. You see this in like Chicago, Boston more. When I walked in, I thought for sure I was in a frat house from an American TV show. It was dirty. He has a twin bed. I feel like I needed a shower after using their bathroom. His one roommate is his buddy, and he sublets the other room to a guy who smokes too much weed and probably other stuff, in quotes, she writes. I'm trying to see this situation from an outside perspective to see if I'm being unreasonable, but I honestly do not want to go back there like ever again. I like having him over to my place. He has complimented me on my house many times. I'm pretty meticulous keeping it clean, so it makes me wonder how he can fathom inviting me back to his apartment. Am I being ridiculous to feel like I can't get past this? I appreciate any advice. This situation kind of sucks. I really enjoy him. He's very sweet and thoughtful, but I don't feel like I can get past the frat house situation. Sincerely, too old to frat. What do you think, Danny Jollis?
This 31 years old. This sounds like it's coming from like a 50-year-old. I mean, this is crazy. Completely okay.
Yeah.
Look, everybody's got a thing. This is something I'm somebody who struggled with dating, worked on my dating. Now I have a fiance, and and the biggest thing that I had to work on was I would find a red flag.
Yeah.
If it didn't matter what was that put in front of me, I was like, there's got to be a red flag here, and I would find it, and then I'd be like, I got to get out of this.
And you concentrate on it, and you make it into, you go from, I don't like the frat house apartment to this person must be too young for me. Like you go from the physical to the emotional kind of like.
And it's a little bit of confirmation bias, right? She thought he was too young for her. And then he was doing no indicators because he seems like he's just a mature 25-year-old. But then where he lives gives the slightest inkling of, oh, maybe he is a little younger than me. And now it's like, I knew it. I knew he's too young. This guy sounds like he just he's probably just like, I mean, when I first moved in New York and LA, like the first couple places I lived were just based on money I had. Many people lived in the place.
Yeah.
If you have more than 3 people living in a house, you're going to have troubles with keeping it clean. That's just a fact.
And also men just live differently. Like the twin bed is an issue. Like I think that's the one that I go, okay, what I think you have to look more at his less at his situation and more his pursuit. Like, does he want to go to a different place? Does he say, yeah, this is good for now? And you know, like I think like the context of his living situation, just like you said, like didn't have a lot of money. I'm living with other people so that I can do comedy, so that I can. Like those are more important to me from a younger dude. Listen, 25 to 31, male to female, that's a world apart. I do think it is. Like, I think mentally, I think like as far as decorating an apartment is concerned, when you're 20, like sure. I used to live in Harlem and I owned my place. And I remember my girlfriend came in and was like, what's happening here? Like there were parts of like my decorating where she was like, this isn't how I'm going to live.
Listen, you're talking to a guy who used to have and I thought it was so funny. I used to have a Justin Bieber poster in my bedroom until I was 23, 24.
Yeah,
and it was like, it was the funniest thing on earth to me. It was like young Justin Bieber. It was like the day Bieber became famous Bieber.
Sure.
And he was jumping towards a camera and kicking. I thought it was the funniest poster. And I stood by the fact that there were two types of women that would enter my room. There were those who would see it and laugh, and I'd be like, awesome. We're definitely going to get along. This is great. And there'd be those who'd be like, what is that? And I'd be like, I don't know if you're going to love my sense. That's
sure.
So clearly a bit. So clearly a bit. Like a bit. Clearly, it's youngest Bieber. But I grew
like
out
the
of it.
idea that they wouldn't know it, and also you find other ways to find a connection with someone. Like you're past the you know yourself enough to not need a Justin Bieber tracking device. To like track whether you're going to get along with the person.
Right. So it took, but that's also like maturing. Like you slowly mature. This guy sounds like he is a very easy mature into right where you want him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like, I mean, to remember one of my apartments, I remember I was 29, 30 living with my younger brother in a 1-bedroom converted to a 2-bedroom. So I'm in the converted room. I have the smaller room with my younger brother in the bigger room. I have my closet in the hallway, and to top it all off, I took a sticker that said "Beware of Dog" and I put it over the door as a joke. Again, clearly, like that is a hilarious bit where I'm like, "Beware of the dog," and if someone mentioned, I go, "Oh," like as a joke, like, and it's like you either get that or you don't, and it's like, and I think, again, like. Someone will go, well, he's 29 and he has a beware. Like if someone explained that in the context of my maturity level, people would like run away. But like that's not all it is. If you talk to me, they would go, well, what does he do for work? Oh, he's trying to be a comedian. Oh, he's a comedian who has a beware of dog sticker. Well, he goes out every night and does all the shows and he writes during the day. Like again, the context fills this
huge
out.
And again, so much relationships are compromised. I'm literally like looking around my apartment. When I started dating my fiance, I always keep a Nerf basketball hoop in my house. That's an important thing. That is obviously not a part of her decorating dreams. Was for a Nerf basketball hoop to be in our house. and so she had built for one of my birthdays this like wooden Nerf basketball hoop that looks really nice. And now it's up there. And so it's fashionable, but I get to keep my Nerf, and that is compromise.
But that's compromise. That's also like you've literally matured into a better Nerf hoop. Like this is the idea. Like I don't think like she writes in her email. There's a very specific line where she's like, I can't even believe he'll let me over. It's like no. He doesn't look at this apartment the same way you look at it. The J Train podcast is brought to you by Solo Stove. I gotta say, a fire pit is an amazing investment. It's an amazing investment in your mental health because right now a lot of people are stuck in their house. They have no reason to go outside. You want to go outside. You want to do something different. But what are you going to do out there? You're going to look at the grass? No. A Solo Stove, a fire pit, extends your living space. It makes any place that you wouldn't have lived in livable. Your yard, your deck, your rooftop, whether you're camping in the woods or at a backyard get-together, there's nothing like a roaring fire to bring you back to what matters. The things digital distractions and the frenzy of everyday life make too easy to forget. Warmth, brilliance, connection, those fireside moments ground you in what it means to be human. That's a beautiful sentiment that I'm reading here, but I mean, to me, it's making the fire, going out there, hanging with friends. Like, I agree, warmth, brilliance, connection, those are all ways to say something that's a little bit nicer than a couple beers around a fire. And that's really what you're looking to do. You and your wife, you and your girlfriend, you and your family, you and your friends, whatever it is. Solo Stove creates story-worthy moments, fireside fumes not included. The stainless steel construction is designed to regulate airflow and burn more efficiently. So little smoke, you'll wonder how there's so much fire. No campfire smell on your clothes and hair, and nothing left but ultra-fine ash for easy cleanup. From camp stoves to backyard bonfires, Solo Stove products are portable and built to last. Easy to light with a few bits of starter. Your fire's blazing in minutes. Take your Solo Stove with you on the road or set it up on your rooftop or backyard. And Solo Stove is so confident in their products, they give you a lifetime warranty with every purchase. So, listen, people, this is something that can improve your life, your mental state, improve kind of, the options that you have at your fingertips. No one needs a reason to gather around the fire. Solo Stove just took away any reason not to. That's a great sentiment. No one needs a reason to gather around the fire. Solo Stove just took away any reason not to. I agree with that. And now you can get $10 off when you use promo code JTRAIN at checkout. That's solostove.com for $10 off when you use promo code JTRAIN. The JTrain podcast is brought to you by Talkspace. Listen, 2020 was a tough year. 2020 was an anxiety-producing year. 2020 made you kind of delve into your head a little bit more because you had more time and you had less going on. And that's why I love Talkspace. Now that we're coming up on a year of the quote-unquote new normal, it sometimes feels like we'll never get our old lives back. The uncertainty of not knowing when this will end is frustrating and a little scary. We all miss our old routines and being able to see friends and family whenever we want. Now more than ever, therapy is a great way to feel your way through this. Just talking through my fears and anxiety makes me feel a little bit better, breathe a little easier, feel hope again. And Talkspace is online therapy. That's here to give everyone support because we all need it right now. Let me just tell you right now, the main theme of this ad should be accessibility. And therapy, yeah, sure, you can Google a therapist, but then you look at it, you go, who do I even go to? Are you going to ask a friend? Talkspace gives you accessibility to therapy in a way that you may not have had it before. Maybe you just didn't have the energy to look into before. It makes it easy. It makes it something that maybe was just a passing thought. Oh, I don't want to look, I don't want to find, I don't know who to go to. Well, Talkspace gives you some options and puts it all at your fingertips. They'll match you with a licensed therapist who you'll be able to reach out to 24/7. And you can get started the same day you sign up. That's right. That's a big thing. So the day you're thinking about it, you're like, no, I think I should speak to a therapist. This is when things get away from you, when you go, I'll do it tomorrow. No. Talkspace, you can start talking to someone the same day you sign up. That's right. Whenever something is on your mind, you'll hear back 5 days a week. And there are other benefits to online therapy. It's affordable. Talkspace is a fraction of the cost of in-person therapy. 1 month on Talkspace costs about the same as a single in-person appointment. That's huge, people. We're taking out the brick and mortar. That's what you're doing. No more office for them to pay for so they can pass on the savings to you. And once you're in their network, you will have access to thousands of therapists. They have experience treating a range of issues, over 40 specialties, including depression, anxiety, substance abuse, relationships, food, and more. My therapist gave me practical guidance that really changed my life for the better, so I'm glad that I found Talkspace and got the support that I need. And you can too. As a listener to this podcast, you'll get $100 off your first month with Talkspace. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com or download the app. Make sure to use code JTRAIN to get $100 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's JTRAIN and Talkspace.com. JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. How to respond to window tapping. Okay, so window tapping is a phrase that I have come up with where it is when someone or you see someone you're attracted to on Instagram and you like 10 of their pictures in a row. So it's like you're tapping on you're just tapping on their window like, hello.
Did you come up with that?
Not the act of it, but the name of it. I came up with window tapping.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So I've been talking about it since Instagram has come into existence. This has been something that I've talked about as far as like, it's a way, and why people do it is because it's a way to approach you without the risk of getting turned down. It's a non-approach approach. So, Hi, Jared. Thank you for your sage wisdom and how you've helped me understand men more the last few years. I love seeing you live and hope you can make it to California soon enough. I can't wait to come back. I wanted to get your thoughts on the best way to respond to some window tapping. So she's getting tapped. In my case, it was a gentle tap of the window. I went hiking with a friend, and her husband and his friend came. I was into the friend, and he had a great time. Later that night, I added him on Instagram. He added me back. Okay, now they're doing the dance, and like 2 older pictures from a year and a half ago. I take it as a good sign, but not sure what his deal is. Danny Jollis, would you take that as a good sign too? Let's start with that because I don't.
It's a phenomenal sign. I don't even know what other sign there could be in this one. This seems like a straightforward, this is great.
The friend, you follow them, they follow you back. Now you're doing the salsa dance of Instagram. Yeah. He sends the 2 likes on an old picture. That's him letting you know. And the reason he does an old picture is because on your notifications, it's noticeable. It glows a little bit. It's a different look than the other ones on the page.
He showed genuine interest. He went down. That's beautiful.
Yep. And if it wasn't a spring break picture, now he's a gentleman. So I know I could ask my friend, but I don't want to complicate things for now. My question is there a good way to respond next? Is there a good move? My only thoughts are to post a story and hope he will respond. I live a little further away from my friend and this guy, but loved us all hanging out and would love to know if there's a good move. Thank you for your time. Can't wait to hear what you think. So what do you think, Danny Jollis?
All right, so this is just going to be a standard Danny piece of opinion that I will stand by forever, which is I believe women making the first move is one of the most attractive, cool things somebody can do, and I've had it happen many times to me, and every single time I've been like, the second I see it, I go 10 more points to whatever I thought of this person. They go up here because they just did it. They got the initiative. Because it's, as a guy right now, it's very scary to make that move. I don't want to make my friend feel, oh my God, and then he hit on me and blah, blah, blah. He's tapping. Like, to me, my advice would be literally be like, hey, do you want to go get coffee sometime? What a kind gesture to him. As a guy, I find that it's like, oh, this girl isn't afraid to be who she is. It's awesome. It's great.
Danny, there you go. The more you know. No, I agree with you 100%. I think it's also, your perspective is the best case scenario, is that the guy sees the DM, takes, and I agree with you. The women making the first move, it shows ownership. It also shows that, like, you know what you like, you know what you don't like. You're not really, I think a lot of men fear leading on. And I think when someone approaches you, it's like, oh, I'm not going to be with someone who is trying to mold me into the guy that they're trying to date. Their goal, when you approach, your goal isn't just a relationship. That's kind of like the secondary thought I have. Oh, this person's goal is the right person, and they thought I was the right person. Here's the problem, and the problem with Bumble is that people can take advantage of this. So, what do I mean? I love what Danny said. Let's go get a cup of coffee. You should definitely do that. You should message, let's get a cup of coffee. Hey, first of all, acknowledge the weird. And it's not weird, but I'm saying acknowledge the awkwardness. Yeah. Hey, I know this is out of left field, but I had such a great time hanging with you the other day. I'd love to get a cup of coffee sometime. Here's my number. Drop the number. Now, he has all of the wood, the nails, the hammer to build the appropriate house. You have to beware of him building you an outhouse instead of a home. The outhouse being, would love to go out, not asking you out, being vague, saying, well, let's just meet up late night. Those are all not what you wanted him to build. So you have to acknowledge, I want him to build this house. I don't want him to build a doghouse. I don't want him to build an outhouse. You have to be okay with, he might disappoint you. He might see this as an opportunity to be the hookup guy, which that is his prerogative, but don't just go along with that to win this, because you're going to end up losing.
100%. And think about how much time you're saving. That's a big element to dating to me, is like, save time. If you ask him, hey, you want to get coffee? And he replies with like, why don't we just meet up late at night? It's like, great. This could have taken months of window tapping and thinking about him. And does he like me? We had such a good time. Maybe I'll see him again, blah, blah, blah. And then you end up there and you're like, oh, for a complete waste of time. Instead, you get it out of the way. In what, two days, you found out this guy, he's that. And then you're done.
Your goal in dating should be to get turned down. Like, and that sounds like counterintuitive, but like you should want to hear no's because that means you're, this is very salesy, but you're that much closer to a yes. You're that much closer. You have a type. You want this type to work out, but it doesn't have to be that person. You're looking for something else. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Danny Jollis. He has a special that is out right now. YouTube, 6 parts. That's what it's called. @Danny Jollis on Instagram and Twitter.
Please.
So funny, so hilarious. You guys are all going to love him. Let's do this one. Am I being sabotaged by my coworker? Ooh. The plot thickens.
I'm in.
Jared, a loyal listener, would love to hear your opinion on what's going on in my life. I'm married, and I sit with my single coworker all day at work. We talk about her dating life. So this is a woman writing in, sits with her single, she's married, sits with her single coworker all day at work. We talk about her dating life and what's going on between my husband and I. A little backstory was that I had caught my husband cheating a little over a year ago. We've been trying to repair a relationship ever since. My coworker always gets me going with things, and I end up getting so pissed off at my husband when we were fine before I spoke to her. So she tells me to check his Insta followers, and I should think about putting a camera in my house. Now I always replay what you said on the podcast about how other people can ruin a perfectly good relationship in my head, but I'm not sure if that's what's going on or if she's giving me a clear perspective and what he's doing is actually wrong. Do you think she's trying to show me the light or trying to turn me into a crazy person? Thanks in advance. This is very interesting. I have said in the past in this podcast that other people can kind of like turn you against the people that you love a little bit. But it wasn't this scenario specifically, but I understand where they're kind of going. Danny, what do you think?
It's tricky, right? Because I 100% agree with your stance of single people like to keep you single. It's a single club, and they want you in a single club. And when you get in a relationship, they will, is that blah, blah, and so I've had many sabotage relationships where I'm like, oh, I think my friends just ruined this person for me for no reason.
And it's also like every misery loves company. So they want you, and this person at work, there is this thing in woman land where there's a little bit of competition with your level of relationship. And this single person at work is the single person, and you're helping her through her single problems. And then you're married, but you also let her in on, he cheated on me, and I'm trying to work through that. Like that,
right.
That's something that shouldn't be used against you, but it's also something that they can do to bring you down to what they feel is their level.
Oh, for sure. And by the way, same thing exists in Guyland. All the time, guys do the exact same thing to each other. Bro, you're going to date? I mean, like, I just got engaged. It's like, I've felt a couple like, hey, really, you're going to lock down? It's like, yeah, I am. I don't know. What are we doing?
It is funny that guy. That's right.
Much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's funny because guys do the reverse where they're like, you say I'm getting engaged and everyone's like, oh, it's over. And you're like, what? And then it's like, it's a reverse version of the same thing where the level makes you less than or more than or whatever.
Sure, but obviously people saying that immediately messes with your head and you're like, no, totally. I'm fine. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. What am I doing? Hang on. You have to like fight it, You're like, I'm still fun. And I'm like, wait a second, it's fine. I've been able to do every comedy I've needed, any comedy I need to do and still be in a relationship with my fiance, and it's been fine. It's not an issue. But this situation is a little tricky because of the cheating, because there is an actual evidence of something happening. I do want more context on the cheating. Wish we could get it.
I would say and the friend is right. Like if you feel that you're not trusting someone and the friend is like, well, I would check the Instagram follower count. And, but like at that point, you don't want to, the goal of, if you're staying together with someone who cheated on you, the goal should be to rebuild trust and not sit there being a detective all day long. Like that's, if she wants to be a detective all day long, get a divorce and find someone new and let's start it fresh. Like, this is.
It's so hard when you're like, I don't want to quote my own bit, but this is how I feel about this issue. But You cannot play prevent defense on your own relationship. You cannot Dikembe Mutombo your partner away from everybody and think that's going to work for how long you want to be with this person. Another 20 years? You think you're going to play defense that entire time? If this guy is going to cheat on you again, beautiful, unbelievable, Shelby. You can't play defense like that. If they're going to cheat on you again, my instinct, and this is from someone who has been cheated on, is I was like, great, again, saved me time. If he's going to, you're working on building trust, give him trust. And if he breaks it again, great. Now we know that this is a complete waste of time.
So maybe, to speak to the emailer directly, what do you think they should say to their friend? Because obviously, like, the friend gets them hyped up a little bit. They're noticing this. Like, I think, like, there has to be some sort of talk where you say, hey, I understand that you're looking out for my best interest, but, like, I don't think your friend is actively trying to sabotage you. Like, I don't think your coworker is sitting there being like, let's get her. I do think commiseration involves a version of, like, hoping that everyone's, agrees to be sad for 15 minutes so that we can all feel better together. But I don't think it's an act of sabotage. I think she has to say to her friend, like, hey, when you bring up all these, like, ways to check in on I go down a bad path. You have to let her know how you're feeling.
Yeah, I think I agree. Just talk to your friend honestly. Tell him.
Yeah.
And we're working on it. Got it.
Hey, we're working on it. When you bring up to look at his Instagram follower count, things I've never even thought of before. I don't know if that's helping or not.
It's worth remembering this was a traumatic event. Being cheated on is not fun. It really hurts. And every time you bring up that stuff, you bring me back to this thing that I'm actively working to, like, put behind me.
JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with Danny Jollis, the special 6 parts on YouTube right now. You can make it a night. Is he a bad texter or just not interested? Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'd love to get a guy's perspective on my issue. I just started talking to a guy, and I can't tell if he's just not into texting or not into me. We met on Hinge, have gone out together 4 times. In between dates, there's not a lot of communication from him. He will text me good morning daily and maybe a little pleasantry during the day. I'm not usually the type of person that wants to be constantly texted all day while I'm at work. Yeah, all day long. But I do know pretty much everyone is on their phones constantly, so it's not like he doesn't have the time. I would like a little dialogue to be going on in between seeing each other to keep things progressing or to see if there's a genuine connection. Aside from the first time we went out, when he asked me out, I am always the one to initiate our meetups. I don't want to waste my time if he's not interested. Is it too early to just flat out ask him if he's just not into me? Do I just wait and see if this gets better before the more we see each other? What do you think?
Texting you every morning, good morning, is a real interesting twist in this thing. Because
that's right.
Because everything else you're saying, I'm like, oh, it doesn't. I guess I don't love that. Like, you have to do it every time. But then I'm like, he's texting good morning every morning. I didn't even do that when I was dating my girlfriend for the first. Like,
it makes me trust them less.
Yes, it's a weird thing to do.
It's almost like he's getting it out of the way.
Right.
So that, like, hey, good morning. Ugh, done with that bitch. I'll move on, to the other chick I'm trying to hook up with. Yeah, I don't like it.
It feels weird, right?
Well, I don't like the perspective of her email. So, like, I don't really care if he's listen. To me, she's aside from the first. This is a line from her email. I don't want to waste my time if he's not interested. I don't understand who dates like that. Why are you interested? At no point does she talk about her interest level. I don't want to waste my time. You're wasting your time right now because someone you text with, you don't enjoy texting with. Like, why isn't that the perspective? Why isn't the perspective like, hey, I kind of because he is texting. You guys just have nothing to talk about. Like, the fact that should be a bigger concern. And the email wouldn't even come to me because you'd be like, I went out with it. Like, I think she has to work on that. I think you have to work on the idea of, like, hey, I'm emailing to find out if someone's interested. His interest level actually doesn't matter. Did you have a good time on the date? Did you have a good time? We met on Hinge, have gone out 4 times together. You never mentioned if you had fun. You don't have one inside joke that you could text him about. All you've mentioned is, I keep making the dates and he never gets in touch with me. Does he like me? No. I would change the perspective to, I keep having to make dates with him and I don't really have anything to talk with him about. I don't like him.
It is phenomenal advice.
I appreciate
Let's start there. That's just very good. Agree with everything you just said.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We both have had one.
Capacity.
We both have had one moment now.
The capacity Zoom audience has really been touched.
It was good. That was good. I don't have much to add. You're right.
But do you understand? But I've done that a lot. I think we've all done that a lot where you're like, here's 7 problems. Do they like me? No. Here's 7 problems. I don't like them anymore. And that's okay. Yeah. You're not looking for a nice person. You're looking for your person. This isn't the guy. The J Train podcast is brought to you by Truff. I got to say, I love Truff. I think that this fits a lot of the needs of this audience. This audience, I know you. You're like me. You want to stay healthy, but you love delicious things. I've been putting Truff on my eggs. I eat egg whites every morning. Throw a little Truff there because I have the little travel one and I can put it on and it makes everything delicious. It also makes everything a little bit more special. It takes a meal that was just, I'm getting through, I'm just having the egg whites, and it turns it into an elegant event that's delicious. I use it on eggs. I use it on my chicken when I'm eating grilled chicken. It makes everything a little bit easier to be healthier. I actually believe that. Because you take the Truff, you put it on your eggs or your grilled chicken, you go, oh, this isn't just a regular meal to be healthy. This is now a delicious, healthy meal. And Truff is the first luxury hot sauce, a unique blend of black truffles and spice. 3 varieties. The Truff is the flagship hot sauce, the flavor pack black truffle hot sauce that started it all. Truff Hotter Hot Sauce, a jalapeno forward blend for those who can never get enough heat. And the premium white Truff Hot Sauce, embodying the essence of the luxurious and fragrant white truffle. It's been named one of Oprah's favorite things for 2 years in a row. So listen, if Oprah likes it, you like it, and I love it. So I'm going to tell you right now, I love this because, first of all, as a gift, a lot of us have people in our lives that you have to gift things to. Truff is the way to go. The packaging's beautiful. It's different. It screams as it comes out of the box. Wow, it's a different thing. That's great. It's also delicious. It's delicious, and it takes you to a different place when you're trying to eat healthy, as I am always trying to do. I'm trying to be healthy while also trying to keep my sanity with having delicious food. Truff is an answer to that issue. And just for my listeners, they're giving you an even better offer. Get 15% off site-wide plus free shipping with promo code JTRAIN at Truff.com. That's 15% off plus free shipping on everything. Just shop at Truff.com. That's TRUFF, F as in fantastic, .com, and use promo code JTRAIN. This moment brought to you by Manscaped. Ooh, I love this sponsor. If you're a man listening, you got to take care of it downstairs. That's the deal. You got to clean yourself up. Are you just a wild forest down by your pee-pee or what? What's going on down there? I'm just saying. I have used Manscaped and I've been on the hunt for a good trimmer. A good body trimmer. And Manscaped is unbelievable. Manscaped is the only men's brand exclusively for below-the-belt grooming. Made for guys, but here's a secret. Girls use it too. Get the Perfect Package 3.0 Essentials Kit. This puppies comes with the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0, the best trimmer on the market. It's awesome. I love it. No nicks, no problems. I think that's been my biggest thing with a lot of these shavers. They claim no nicks, and then the minute you touch your balls, it's like, oh my God, I'm bleeding out of my ball, and it looks like I popped a water balloon. No. The Manscaped is good stuff with a cutting-edge ceramic blade. Their advanced skin-safe technology ensures you won't cut your most delicate areas. I can tell you from experience. The best part is, with the Perfect Package, you also get a few goodies for your man. The Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. And the Crop Reviver keeps your balls smelling fresh. Subscribe and get a new replacement blade refill for your lawnmower trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months. This is huge because this is again, women can use this, but this is a great gift for your guy, and it's a great thing if you're a guy listening to get, because you know what? some of these guys out there, they're using the same trimmer for like 3 years, and they're going, and it comes with that little brush to clean it up. They go, yeah, I use it, and they don't. So when you subscribe and they get new replacement blades, it's basically making sure that they're doing that and replacing. Plus, get 2 free gifts: the Shed travel bag and their patented high-performance, chafe-reducing Manscaped boxer briefs. But wait, there's more. If you love that beautiful ball smell, get Manscaped's new refined cologne, the perfect package for your perfect package. Get 20% off and free shipping with code JTRAIN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code JTRAIN at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Let's do one more. Is that okay, Danny Jollis?
Are you kidding me? Of course.
Let's do this. I sent this to you before. We like to end with a screenshot email. I'm having such Gmail issues. Is anyone else?
Nope.
All right, good to know. We'll just move on. Shelby.
Okay, here we go.
Do we have... I'm still in the loading. This is crazy. Anybody else?
What now? What's happening over there? Take us into your problem.
I'm on Gmail. I just hit sent because I want to get to the email that I sent you. What was it called?
It was called
Matched Many Times.
Many Times.
Okay. Here it is. Yeah, look, my dial-up is all fucked up. Okay. Here we go. We ready? This is called Matched Many Times with an Acquaintance, but have never had a date. Jared Feather, 6 years ago. Let's go way back in the Wayback Machine, Shelby. I mean, Shelby just rolled his eyes so hard. 6 years ago, I met a guy when I was traveling for work about 90 minutes from the city I live in. Yeah, let's go way back when, to 6 years ago, before we lived in a post-apocalyptic reality. So when I was traveling for work about 90 minutes from the city I live in, I connected with him on Instagram and saw that he had a girlfriend. A couple years later, I noticed that they had broken up and he had moved to my city and now worked in my field. He texted me and asked me to grab a coffee, but it wasn't a good time for me because at the time I hated my job and hated my life and wasn't in the mood. Okay.
Honest.
Hey, I'd like to do some coffee. I hate my life. I hate my job. I'm not in the mood. Goodbye. Okay. No, well, I guess I'll see you in a couple years.
Sure.
She writes, a year later, he started replying to all my Instagram stories. Over the last few years, we have matched probably 5 different times on Bumble and Tinder. Most recently, we matched again in October 2020. I decided to just text him and acknowledge that we've matched many times but never met up. See the attacks, checks exchange. My question is, why would he match with me many times and suggest meeting next weekend only to not follow up? Matched and confused. So let's bring up the message. I'll be her, you be him. You ready?
Hang on. Wait. Give me a second. Okay, I'm ready.
Yo, so they had just matched on one of these apps. This is October of this past October. Yo, how many times are we going to match? Celebration emoji.
It's about time we actually hung out. No?
Yes, it is. I'm free on weekends.
Aha. All right. I'm out of town this weekend, but perhaps the following?
Next weekend sounds great. End scene. Okay, there's
What's
a lot
the
going
issue
on
here?
Well, the issue is they've matched 5 times and no date has ever happened.
Now I want to point out, I hate the time between each of these texts. Absolutely hate it.
It tells you everything. This guy, it tells you everything. She texted on Sunday, October 11th at 7:25 p.m. He gets back Monday, October 12th at 7:40 a.m. So he gave it a good 12 hours. Then
Ridiculous.
She gets back 3:40 of that day. So she's trying to match him a little bit, but she pulls the trigger a little quicker. And then he gets back 6 hours, another 3.5 hours later. So they're getting closer. And then she gets back the next morning.
So she goes back to 12 hours then.
She goes back to 12 hours. But I could see that, like, excitement produces excitement. Non-excitement produces non-excitement. And I think she's trying to match his energy here. I think the biggest problem is it's about time we actually hung out. No. And then he's only responding to her. This is the problem. Like, what do you think, Danny? Because I have a few opinions, and I think these people that you rematch with happen for a reason.
I mean, this is like bringing me back to my single days, and I will tell you that a game changer for me in my dating life was gifts.
Okay.
Gifts changed my life, and I know they are not popular in the dating world, but they helped me immensely because I am reading, It's About Time We Actually Hung Out. No. And that can be read 15 different ways. And it sounds kind of excited, but not fully excited, but a little excited. And it's like, I started saying gifts of like someone just being like thumbs up. And it just created a sense of like, I'm at that level of excitement. Reading this, it's like, I don't know. I don't love the games being played here. Yeah. I don't love the amount of time. From both parties though. So at least it isn't like if she was replying immediately and he was keeping that pattern,
sure,
I'd be more upset.
I agree. Listen, there's blame to be held by everyone. The fact that she keeps matching with someone a fifth time, like at what time aren't you turned off by his behavior? He has 4 different opportunities to ask you out on the dating app, and he has not done that. And you went back for a 5th time, like, at least I can get the dopamine from the match. Like, that's really what you both are here for at this point. I think the biggest word in his text is, but perhaps the following. Perhaps? Like, I think this guy is attracted to you, but he's not into it enough to make you a responsibility. And you'd say, well, it's just one date. What responsibility is that? He doesn't even want that. He doesn't even want that. He wants to match with you, get the good vibes, the good feelings from matching with you, but he doesn't want to leave the couch for you. And I think like the idea that
I would like to throw out the context that he did ask her out once and she
to
said
grab
no.
coffee. And she did say it, I hate my job, I hate my life, and I wasn't in the mood.
so I think that's a little bit of, he might be a little gun shy. He did do it once.
Sure. I agree with that. I mean, again, this is kind of the rabbit hole of a lot of like internet dating where it's like, well, someone has to be vulnerable at some point. Someone has to make a move. I would argue she is the one that did the vulnerable move by saying, yo, how many times are we going to match with a happy emoji? She did use a happy emoji. Loved that. Like, I love how she came at it. And then 12 hours later, he's like, yeah, we should probably do that, huh? Like, he didn't give her the vulnerability that she gave him. And I think at that point you have to cut your losses. I know she's sending it into the podcast being like, why would he match with this many times, suggest meeting next week and only to not follow up? It's because he's not excited about this date. He's not. And again, I would say to this person, you're just saying a lot of the reasons we rematch with people is safety for our emotional state. Knowing someone out there thinks we're attractive, knowing that this person has already been a little bit vetted because you have met in person, so that kind of changes them in your mind. I get why you keep going back, but you have to understand the reasons you keep going back are somewhat emotional and somewhat, bad, not bad, but somewhat because of insecurities. That's the same reason he's coming back, is insecurities. And maybe you two are just acting as a crutch for each other, and it'll never happen.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you're going to have to really put in the effort to make this happen, which I don't love.
Not fun. That's not a fun date that you kind of feel that's not a fun date to be sitting there the whole time being like, did this person want to be here? Like, you want to be on dates where someone's like, yeah, I'm pumped because this person's pumped. We need both people to be ready to go dance.
Yeah. And
Get him out of here.
It's time to get him out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm usually it's like, what's the harm of any of it? But I don't love it. It's not good. It's certainly not good. It's taking up space in your brain. That I don't like. I also, and I know it's not the important part, but 109 unread text messages in this screenshot. That is incredibly unhealthy.
Is that what they had? Is that really?
Look at that. Look at the screen. 109 unread text messages. That is truly unhealthy behavior.
we're starting to realize why it took 12 hours the second time around.
Ladies and gentlemen.
JTrainPodcast at gmail.com, JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. Danny Jollis, thank you so much for coming on. This was great.
Oh my gosh. This was so wonderful. There's nothing I love more than giving advice on things I have no clue about.
Listen, this is all about commiseration, talking out of your ass, and we want everyone to go check out your special. It's called Six Parts. It's free on YouTube. At Danny Jollis on Instagram and Twitter. It will be all over my social media. I'll do a swipe up, all that good stuff.
And so appreciate it. And on a side note, and I not to plug a host on his own podcast, but
sure,
for the listeners, Jared, saying all you're saying during this podcast and letting me on and pushing the special like you are, it means a lot. There's a lot of people who don't do that for other comics, and you doing it. Like, I just feel like you guys should know that this is a special man.
I appreciate that, and I get it. I get it. It's been a very touching episode of the J Train podcast. I understand that. I've reached out to some LA comics about their podcast. They're not as kind. I understand that. So
I've reached out to a lot of people during this thing, and I've gotten plenty of where I've been like, all right, sorry about that. Like, and thought we were friends. And so it's just nice. You were just immediately like, of course, why would it even be? And it's like, it's very, very appreciated.
You killed it. It's my pleasure. I'm happy you came on. So at Danny Jollis on Instagram, Twitter, 6 parts. That's the special. Shelby, you killed it this episode. Oh, go ahead.
Can I do one last plug at the end?
Please.
This is the plug I do every podcast. I have to do it. Stand-up comedy is like hockey. It is just a different experience live. I beg everyone here to see Jared, see myself. But if we're not in your town anytime soon, go watch live stand-up comedy. It is the best art form on the planet. It will change your viewpoint on the entire art form. It's just not captured on TV. Please go watch it live.
I totally agree with that. The stand-up hockey analogy is spot on because things happen in the room. It's a live experience. It's fun.
Every show's different. You're part of the show. It's incredible.
The reason, and to go back to what Danny was talking about in the beginning of the show, the reason he wants it seen on YouTube is so that you will come to the show. So comics will legitimately turn down money to not put their special in a place where nobody would see it because they lose ownership. That's why Danny went to YouTube. That's why I went to YouTube as well, is because I can give it directly to the people. And then the next time I'm in town, you can send that to a bunch of friends and go, this is great. It's going to be just like this. And then everyone's motivated. Now you have a night. Now the group chat is out. And again, and so it's a fantastic point. I'm happy you brought that up. So go, 6 parts. It's on YouTube right now. Shelby, thank you for coming on with the 1s and 2s. You killed it.
Thank you.
At Classic Shelb on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Jared Freid. We're here Mondays and Thursdays. Keep spreading the word. Keep telling your friends. We'll be back next episode. Boom. Don't forget to like the video you just watched. I have many more. Subscribe to the channel right now. Like and subscribe, you fool. There's even a bell you can click to. Now you've got your week set Monday through Friday. I'm here for you.